Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Tales of the Buller. I have sitting across from me one Lorraine Ranger, who's a local of Carter's Beach, Westport born and bred, very well known, a lovely woman who is an incredibly crazily good baker. I know, because I end up getting some now and then. So it's a pleasure to have you here, Lorraine. Thank you very much for coming, because I know it's, like the others have said, it's a bit daunting because it's something new, isn't it?
Sure is.
And you've got these microphones in your face and everything else. So thank you very much. So we'll just get cracking here by just saying to you, so just tell us a little bit about where you were born and what your schooling was when you were a child.
Well, I was born in Westport, and I went to Westport North School, and then I went to Buller High School. And yeah, they were really good schools, had good times, and I've still got friends from when I went to school when I was 5.
Oh, amazing. Isn't that cool?
Hmm.
And what was your first job?
My first job when I left school was with New Zealand Railways. I worked in the goods office. I did the accounts. I hated maths at school, but I ended up doing maths and accounts and the manifests from the shipping. And I also worked out the freight on wagon loads of timber that left Westport. And
Sorry to butt in there. So there was a lot of sort of rail commerce going on
it was, yes, there was a lot of people in the railways.
there. Wow.
There was 3 people in my office.
Wow, and was it coal and timber mainly?
And cement.
And cement, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What else did you do?
I worked for New Zealand Rail for 18 years, but I ended up working in the railway station, and I had my own office there, and I answered the phones, and I worked the tally printers. I had 2 tally printers and used to type around New Zealand, and I did all the stenciling and duplicating, and I was the typist to the station master.
So for those who don't know, can you just give us a wee rundown on what stenciling is?
You used to have a special skin to type, and then you put it into a machine and turned the handle, and it gave you how many copies you wanted of that particular, like a train advice.
Oh, crikey.
Hmm.
I see. So I see what that is. That's
Yeah,
a pretty old school, that one.
it's really old school.
That was good. And so, the port would have been a lot busier, I suppose, because were the trains going to the port, or?
Yes, it was really busy port. Like sometimes we might have half a dozen ships in port. Like they used to bring in freight, and I had to do the manifest for the freight, and there was lots of coal ships.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting when you look now?
Mm.
I mean, it's underutilised. I was really hoping that the mine up on Tauranga Bay was going to, utilise the port more and get it working.
Mm.
But anyway, so I understand you had a bit of a funny story at the railways there.
Yes, one day we had a guy who worked with us, and his job was to go and empty the rubbish and to make sure it got burnt and it was okay. But anyway, this day was a really rough day, and the river was in a big flood, and he couldn't be bothered going down to empty the rubbish. So at the time, the Melbourne carrier was in port, and between the ship and the wharf, there was a whole lot of wood. So anyway, he came along, and he threw the rubbish in, and he went in as well.
He
And
threw himself in.
Yeah, he landed on top of all the wood between the ship and the wharf, so he was lucky, so they had to pull him out.
Holy hell, that's probably quite dangerous.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're working down at the railway there. So what did you used to do, like on a Friday night, Saturday night, have a bit of fun?
They used to have dances in the Holland Hall, and I used to go with my girlfriends there every Friday night, and we'd dance away, or we'd go to the movies, and yeah.
How many
good
movie
time.
theatres were there?
There was 2. There was the St. James Theatre and the Victoria Theatre.
That's amazing, isn't it? Now there's just one, isn't there? The NBS.
There is,
Or
yes.
whatever it's called.
The
That's
Victoria Theatre is where Bullavet is now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so what was the story when you left the railway? Did you just leave because you're sick of it, or?
No, I was pregnant, so I had a good excuse to leave.
That's a pretty good one. Yep.
Yeah. So I worked there till I couldn't work any longer, and yeah, I never went back then. But after that, instead of finding another job, I decided I'd sell Avon.
Yes, well, I've heard about that because you were one of the top sellers in the country, weren't you?
I was for a while, yes.
So how do you do that? What happens there?
You used to get sent the box every 2 or 3 weeks, and you had to ring everybody up to get an order. And I used to sit there for hours at the table at night doing book work because I had 160 customers, so it was a lot to look after.
God,
Mm.
I bet. So, and you spent your whole life here in Westport, haven't you?
I have, yes. I only moved from Westport to Carter's Beach.
Which is not that far.
No, it's not that far. But all my family have moved away now, so.
Yes,
yeah.
you got family. But Lorraine's got family up in the Waikato. Me too.
Mm.
So there you go. We've got that in common.
Yeah.
When did you come to Carter's Beach?
When I first got married to Ray Brunning, we built a house in Archer Place. Yeah.
Okay. And so that's your first marriage, obviously, because Lorraine and Neville are quite well known here. Neville's Lorraine's husband. And so when did you marry Neville?
Probably about 40 years ago in August.
Did he taste your baking?
No, we actually met at the Albion Hotel. I went out with my sister and brother-in-law because they used to take me out. And we went to the Albion Hotel, and he actually foot-tripped me, and I spilt his beer.
As you do.
Yeah. And so that's how I met Neville.
Right, and he was in a band then, wasn't he?
Yes, he played in the Westport Brass Band for many, many years.
That's cool. It's not cool because he's not in it now, so I can't go and see it. But
No, he started playing in the band when he was 11, and he found that he just had enough.
fair enough.
Yeah, he didn't enjoy it anymore, so he finished a couple of years ago.
So you've seen some changes in Carter's Beach.
Definitely.
So how much was the hall utilised back in the day? Did there used to be dances and stuff over there?
Yes, there was, and wedding receptions, and it was really well utilised. They used to have housey and cards. They had euchre nights and bowls.
Wow. That's a bit of a change then, isn't it?
It is.
What do you think's happened there?
I'm not sure.
Just time goes on, people change, I suppose.
Yeah, and people are busier and haven't got time.
Well, that's actually a real bit.
It is. Yeah.
So what about the sea? Have you seen much difference in the sea since you've been here?
Definitely. Yeah, there used to be road in front, but it's all gone now. It's just all disappeared. It's really, really changed. The sea's come in a long way.
Because it used to be out considerably further, didn't it?
It did, for sure. Yeah.
And mind you, I haven't seen it move since I've been here, but that's not too long.
No.
Hey, fingers crossed, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, if it's not the sea on one side, it could be the river on the other.
Oh dear.
What do you do? So, what are some of your fondest memories growing up in Westport, living here?
Well, we didn't really go away a lot because we never had a car. My dad worked for Poets. He was a joiner, and then they closed that one year, so he lost his job here. And so we got a job building bridges, and he actually helped build Martin's Bridge.
Oh, yeah?
And one day he fell in, but I don't think he enjoyed doing that, and he ended up working in the railways and the signals.
He didn't like falling in?
No. I think it was very, very heavy work.
Right, so he was in the railways too?
Yeah.
Okay, so you followed your dad's footsteps?
Yeah, but my grandfather worked in the railways too. And in 1922, he was a shunter.
Right.
And it was a really rough night, and he's riding on the front of the coal train, and he had gumboots on, and he slipped, and he was killed.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah, and it happened right outside. I found out it happened outside the weighbridge, not far from the goods office. And I had to go up there all the time and check the weights of the wagons going away. And I always used to think of him.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
So your family, you've got generational family here in Westport. You know who was the first one here?
No, I don't, because my grandfather had brothers here, and they were all in the brass band.
Oh, your family must have been pretty early on then.
They were. The Sarah family came out from Yorkshire, and some of them went to Geelong, and some come to New Zealand, and they went to Westport, Reefton, and Greymouth.
Huh. Wow. That's sort of like my family. My family did a very similar thing.
Okay.
Came out Nelson, and then had a bit of go to Aniseed Valley, and then Hope, and then down the Cape. But so, did you like the railway better or Avon?
You were sort of free when you did Avon. You could do it when you wanted. I used to take my children round to help me, but they didn't like it. I said, well, you managed to with that money, you know managed to learn the piano, and Janelle learned how to dance, so you got something out of
You should have made them up. Said, "Hey, look,
it.
look what this does for you." What was that amazing trombone story that you told the other day,
Well, my grandfather that was tragically killed in the railways, he was a champion player on the trombone, and when they built the Gates of Remembrance, he was there playing this piece of music called the Death March, and it was just before the war. And anyway, when they restored the gates a few years ago, my son was there playing the trombone, the same piece of music. It's just so random how it all worked out.
Oh, that's incredible, really, isn't it?
I know it is. And then my brother, Russell Sarah, he worked in the laboratory at Wholesome, and he left and went away. My son left school, Bradley, and he ended up working in the laboratory. Then my daughter, she won a scholarship for Wholesome, and she ended up working with her brother in the lab. So the whole three of them have been in the lab.
So your family seems to just follow from one to the other.
It seems like that, yeah.
Well, that's actually really, really cool, Lorraine.
Yeah.
So what about the last part of your working life?
The last 20 years I've worked in early childhood, and I really love it. I enjoy going to work. I love the children. I go there and they run up to meet me. It's just so rewarding.
One of the best and probably one of the most important jobs we can have in the country, I reckon.
That's for sure.
All right.
Yep.
So what did you like the best? What's some of your favourite memories about Westport?
I had a really good child upbringing with my parents. They did everything they possibly could for me. They were always there for me. And yeah, I used to go out with my girlfriends to the movies on a Friday night, and Dad always used to come to pick me up to make sure I got home safely because of all the boats that were in. You know, you never know who's wandering around.
All those bloody sailors, eh?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
I've heard similar things. The other people on the podcast and people I've met here while I've been here is they all have the same similar story. I had a great upbringing.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things. If people are listening to this podcast elsewhere in the world, it's a special place, this one, isn't it?
It sure is.
It just actually, it is. It hits you, once you've been here, you don't have to be here long. And you all of a sudden think, oh, what's this? I keep hearing the stories. I had a great upbringing. My family was really good, blah, blah. And people remain friends here. People, because you depend on people in times of issue and floods and whatnot.
Yeah. No, I've got girlfriends that I still keep in touch with since I was 5 years old.
That's mad. That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember what my name was when I was 5 years old. I didn't have friends. But what else? Can you got any other memories that you want to share?
I remember the 1968 earthquake.
Oh yes.
Yes, I remember that. Oh gosh, I hadn't experienced an earthquake before, and it happened in the early hours of the morning, and our house was on piles, and it really shook. And I actually thought it was the end of the world. I didn't know what was happening, and you could hear all this crashing of chimneys coming down, and all the cupboards opening, and glass was falling out, and all the preserves, and it was real scary.
Sounds like it. And your chimney went, did it?
Yeah, it went. Yeah, Mum had a coal oven, and yeah, she couldn't use it after that.
What did you do?
She had a gas ring, so we used to use that.
So the rest of the house was okay, just the chimney came down.
Yeah. My dad built the house, and it's still there today.
Huh.
It's really good. It's really good.
So when you went outside, there'd be a lot of chimneys down, wouldn't there?
Yes. Yep. Just about every chimney was down.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. I don't think there was a chimney left.
Because old Pete, Pete was in here telling us about, because he was in an Angahut, and just that was a big earthquake.
I know, because it was centred there.
So I've got those papers that were dropped off today. I've got the 1968 paper, so I'm going to take some photos of that, post it online somewhere so people can have a read.
Oh, that sounds good.
So what did you like? So that was early in the morning. It was like 5:30, wasn't it?
Yes, something. How about 5, 6 in the morning? Yes.
So what are your memories of that? Like, apart from thinking it was the end of the world, when you realised it wasn't, you were going to carry on.
Oh, I know I had to go to work, and I was really scared.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, it was just such a mess. Like windows broken, everyone's chimney down, because there was just about everyone had a chimney.
Yeah, definitely.
So, no, it was horrible.
So what happened then? Was there an influx, like there was recently with the floods? Was there an influx of builders from elsewhere to give a hand?
Yes, there was. They all came in.
That's good, great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And you had to go to work. I can't believe. Oh, you were at the railways, were you?
Yeah, I was at the railways.
I suppose you had no choice.
No, you got to go to work.
Got to keep on going.
Yeah.
Dodge those bloody sailors on the way to work. Well, I forgot all about the earthquake, but I'm a bloody idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how did it affect you? How did it affect things? Like, did it rip the roads up?
Yes, it damaged the roads. You couldn't use the gorge. I think someone came through the gorge on their bike. They had to climb over the slips.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I always remember my dad saying that the hills will be scarred for many, many years because of this earthquake.
Oh, he was dead right.
He was right, yeah. Mm.
So hang on. So wouldn't the rail have been buggered?
Yes. And after each earthquake, even now, I think they've got to do an inspection of the track before the train goes out.
I bet.
Yeah, make sure it's all right.
So what'd you do when you went to work? Because there wouldn't have been trains running, would there?
No, there wasn't. No. But I was working in the station, so I had a lot of typing and that to do and answer the phones. And
did you use the old typewriter? Would have been, wouldn't it?
Yep, use the typewriter. And the tally printers, I used to type all around New Zealand on those.
Okay. I'm sorry to ask this because I'm totally ignorant. Lorraine's laughing at me, by the way. What's a tally printer?
It's like a really big typewriter, and you can actually type a message and send it to Auckland, and they get it. It comes out on a piece of paper.
Yeah. So it's sort of like an early fax.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I had 2 of those to operate.
And that's actually pretty cool for the time, isn't it?
Mm.
So that's morphed these days into
the
computer, hasn't it? The internet, whatever else. Oh my God! So your family's up in the Waikato?
Yeah, my daughter's in Te Awamutu. She's an environmental manager for Fonterra up there. She's got a really good job.
That is a good job.
Yeah.
And you've got family in Geelong?
Yes, I have never met them though. But when my brother was living over there, he looked in the phone book and there was a few Sarahs there, but he didn't contact any, so they probably are related to us.
Well, I mean, it's easy now if you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. And also, have you been over there?
Yes, I've been over there.
Because Geelong's nice.
I know. We flew into Melbourne for a holiday once, my husband and I, and the first place we arrived at was Geelong, and I thought, oh, I can really understand why my family came here to live because it was so nice.
It is nice.
Yeah.
And they've got they usually have a really good AFL team.
Yeah.
I remember a guy called Gary Ablett. When I was living in Melbourne, the Geelong was one of the top.
Oh, really?
Teams. But we used to go out there for a nice drive, Such a cool place.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. We actually camped there one night. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
We should dig it up on the internet. I did a family thing, and I was going to do the ancestry thing.
Okay.
But I paid $10 to put my name out there, and I got an email within a day from a bloke in Geelong.
Oh my goodness.
Who said to me, "Oh, I'm your long lost relation, and I've already done this. So here's your whole family history."
Oh my goodness.
Right back to 1680 or something in Lincolnshire. I went, "Oh, thanks."
Wow.
It saved me doing anything. So you could do that. That's awesome, isn't it? So these days, your early morning, your early childhood, and then you come home and have a relax. And what do you do on Friday night?
My Friday nights is my favourite night of the week. We go round to Donaldo's and meet up with all our friends, and of course Mike's one of them. We have a really awesome time.
We do, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Have a lot of laughs and yeah.
Oh, I failed to mention one thing.
What was that, Mike?
Who was your friend that you made the other day who came to Westport? Who was your mate?
Oh, Mike, why did you bring that up? No, we had the Prime Minister in work on Monday, and I was the only one that got my photo taken with him, and it ended up being in the Westport News with a little write-up. Couldn't believe it when I opened up the paper and seen it.
Oh, good on you, Lorraine. Good on you. What did he say to you?
What did he say? He said, how long have you been here, Lorraine? I said, over 20 years. He says, oh, good on you. And I said, I'm probably the oldest working in early childhood in New Zealand. He says, go for it.
Good on him.
Yeah.
I bet the go for it was off the cuff.
Yeah.
The rest sounds like it's read from a playbook. Good on him.
Yeah, no, we had a little chat, and you know. I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
Oh, so he was here for the flood relief, flood relief money.
Yeah,
Right.
the flood relief, and he looked at the port, and the only other place he went to, as far as I know, was our centre, Westport Early Learning Centre.
Well, that was nice.
Hmm.
So, in your time in Westport, what do you think of what's going on with the river and the council? It's not the council's fault completely, but I mean the river. What do you think should be done, or what have they missed out on?
Well, many years ago, when I was young, they used to have 2 dredgers, and they worked day and night, and they dredged the river all the time, and we never had floods like we do now. All the silt's all built up, and yeah, and I think that's why everything floods.
Well, I reckon you're right, because Jock, who's been here same as you, same number of years you probably, a little bit less, he said he'd never seen a flood like that one a couple of years ago.
No,
His whole life.
I haven't either. It was unbelievable.
So that is a bit strange, isn't it?
It is.
Well, hopefully this flood relief, some of this thing will give us some sort of relief.
I hope so.
But you just don't know. I mean, looking at Hawke's Bay, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, do you? So
No.
we'll do what we can. So come on now then, Lorraine. Hit me with another story.
Another story. I can tell you about my grandfather who came out from Wales.
Go on then.
They wanted him to come out from Wales to manage the Denniston mine. His name was Bill Turner.
Huh.
So he came out with my nana and my auntie, and at the time my nana was pregnant with my mum, and apparently they were very seasick on the trip out to New Zealand. But anyway, they came out and they went up to Denniston, and my nana said to me, I can't believe I've come to this place. I haven't seen the sun for 6 weeks, when she lived on Denniston.
I believe that.
Anyway, my grandfather, he was the manager, and he had to go down the mine every morning with a canary to make sure the mine was safe before the miners entered.
Right.
And he used to do all explosives in the mine.
Wow.
Yes, and when in the 1929 earthquake, after the earthquake happened, he had to go down the mine on his own and blindfold the horses and bring them up. And after that, my nana said to him, you're never going in that mine again, Bill. She said, we're moving. So they shifted from Denniston, and Mum was upset because she loved it up on Denniston. So that was 1922, my mum was born. So anyhow, they came down and bought the Mokanui Hotel. And my grandfather was the second owner of the hotel, and his name's on a board there.
This is an amazing story.
Yeah. And after they were there for a few years, and after that they moved into town and bought the City Hotel, and that's where Reynolds Shoes is at the moment.
Wow. So any other of your family live up Denniston?
No, just my grandparents.
Man, what jobs he had.
I know.
They were pretty dangerous jobs.
They were.
You
Yeah.
imagine saying to someone today, by the way, your job is you're walking this canary down into the deep dark of the mine, and if you survive, well, it's all right.
Mm. And another story I know is Buller Cafe. Mr. Marinovich used to own it. And anyway, he came over to my nana's one day because she used to cook at the City Hotel, the meals. And he come over and my nana was cooking fish and chips. And he said, can I try a piece of your fish? And my nana said, of course you can. He says, oh, that batter's amazing. So Nana gave him the recipe for the batter, and they are still using it to this day at the Buller Cafe.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to get a feed there tomorrow. That's incredible, right?
I know.
So, what other businesses have your family been involved in around the town?
Mum had a sister, and she owned the Prince of Wales Hotel. Sis and Dick Knight, probably people know them. But my uncle died, and so my auntie moved to Auckland after that. So that hotel's no longer there now. Actually, it used to be opposite where the library is, on that corner.
Huh.
Mm.
Oh, you've seen some changes here, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Sure have.
I know. Yeah. Well, good on you, Lorraine. Well, listen, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us? Because we'll wind it up in a few minutes. But it's been marvellous. So just, if you want to carry on, you carry on. Don't let me stop you.
Oh, I was just going to say, when my mum went to Mokanui, she was actually the postmistress there for a few years. And then when they moved to town, to the City Hotel, she went and worked at the post office in Westport.
So, if they lived in Mokanui, They'd have had to come into Westport to get supplies,
Yeah, they did.
Did they have a car, or what they do?
Well, actually, they had the first car on Denniston, I was told.
I bet
My
I bet
grandparents.
they were popular.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah,
So they'd have to pop into town, get supplies, and then go back up the hill.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Wow. I'm hoping to get some other people here to talk about Denniston because it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is fascinating. Yeah.
So you never spent your time up there though.
I go up there now and again if family come. We'll go for a trip up to Denniston just to. I actually know where Mum's house was roughly, and one day we found a tile off their fireplace. They had a really nice home up there.
So that's great that you know where the house was.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father used to love Denniston, and towards the end of his life, we'd go on trips up Denniston, and he'd just love it. Looking out over the view there and looking at the engineering up there.
Mhm.
Pretty bloody amazing.
It is.
I wish I'd known the story about your granddad. My father would have loved that one.
Oh, golly.
Yeah. Incredible though, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, if you try and think of that and compare it to the modern day, I'd imagine should be doing cartwheels up and down the bloody hill thinking about that, wouldn't they?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, they couldn't have gardens up on Denniston because there was no soil.
No.
And they couldn't bury people, so they used to take them down the incline and bury them at Waiming, and apparently, in Granity.
Take them down the incline?
On the incline,
What,
yeah.
in a cart?
Yeah.
Chuck
I'm
them in
sure
there?
that's how they did it.
Probably
Yeah.
has to be, wouldn't it? Jeez.
Yeah.
It's rough and ready days, aren't they?
They were rough and ready days.
No wonder they're a pretty hardy bunch around here, aren't they? All right, Lorraine. Well, we've just clicked over 31 minutes, and it's been marvellous. It's been absolutely marvellous.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
No, well, thank you, because as I said in the beginning, and I've said to the others, it can be a bit daunting. But now you see it's nothing, it's just having a yarn, isn't it?
I didn't know what to expect.
Well, I hope it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad.
All right, well, thank you very much, Lorraine, and you have a great day.
Thank you. You're very welcome, Mike.